It's good.
All right, we are live and direct in Studio California, Podfeet Productions here. And we're going to have to just hit the ground running. We're going to do a quick roll call and then get going because this could be, I think we might break 2 hours today, Steve.
This will be an epic show.
As Kevin says, a big shoe, a big shoe.
A big shoe, yes.
All right, so I am going to do let me just do a little test playback.
You might want to just...
Okay, what?
You might want to acknowledge that we are back from CES and not sick.
I did a preemptive strike and got sick beforehand. That was my plan.
Yes.
And turn your TV off, sweetie.
Just turned it off.
Yeah. So he's bored apparently already. All right. So we're live. We should, I'm going to go ahead and kick right in. I'm assuming you guys heard that. They can see me. And we're going to make big use of chapter markers this week. That's for sure. Okay, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, January 14th, 2018, and this is show number 662. Well, buckle up, kids. This show might just break the sound barrier. And by that, I mean the longest show we've ever done. We have 2 listener recordings. We've got 2 articles from me, one of which is pretty long, 4 CES interviews. See, Steve recorded 28 video interviews, 2 of which he was in front of the screen, in front of the camera. So we got to kind of knock these out for a week for quite a while here. And Bart jumped in and said, we need to do a bonus security bits update with what we know this week about Spectre and Meltdown. You know, a week later, things have actually changed. So this week, I think you'll be really glad we now have chapter marks in the podcast. For example, if you're Kevin, you might want to jump right to the interview where Steve Sheridan is in front of the camera when he interviews a micro... Okay, I said that all wrong. I'm actually going to start it over. I didn't like the intro.
Dorothy.
All right, I didn't do roll call. Brett, let's see. Steve, Brett, Kevin, George, Gino, Trey, Dorothy, John, and Sandy. Okay, starting quick. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, January 14th, 2018, and this is show number 662. Well, buckle up, kids. This show might just break the sound barrier, and by that, I mean the longest show. We've got 2 listener recordings, 2 articles from me, 4 CES interviews. We have 28 total, and a bonus security bits with an update on what we now know about Spectre and Meltdown a week later. This week, I think you'll be really glad we now have chapter marks in the podcast. For example, if you're Kevin, you might want to go to the interview where Steve Sheridan is actually in front of the microphone while he interviews a gentleman from Johnson Space Center about NASA's Orion capsule on the SLS. So sit back and enjoy this extended NosillaCast for the week. Well, before we do kick completely into gear, I want to tell you that Chit Chat Across the Pond was with Joe Duganzik while we were at CES. You may remember him as the Smarter Home Life guy, but this time he's on the show to explain how his YouTube channel for Smarter Home Life actually turned into a full-time job working for a smart home hub company called Linky. In a few weeks, we'll be playing an interview with him about the Linky hub itself. Well, this is a story of success that I thought was really interesting. You can listen to the episode at podfeet.com, or you can subscribe to the Chit Chat Across the Pond light feed, or even the full Chit Chat Across the Pond feed if you want all the chit-chatty goodness. And I did that whole thing listening to you, Steve, because you were not muted.
Fortunately, none of that goes into the audio feed.
Yeah, it's a little distracting for me, though, buddy.
You did very professionally.
A little bit, yeah. All the clicking and the clacking and the DVD.
Isn't that new keyboard nice?
That's nice. You know, I did an update to Hindenburg right before the show, and I had asked for a couple of improvements to the interface on doing chapter marks, and I'm wondering whether they're in there.
Did you remember this one?
Uh-huh.
Good job. Now,
All right.
Kevin is reminding you several times.
CES observations. All right. If I really loved these guys, I'd put the URL in here too. Did you know I can do that?
In what?
In the chapter mark.
Oh, yeah, that could get busy, right?
It could be. But it's right there from the taking. I'm going to do it. All right. Now I got to go back over here. Nope. Yep. There we go. All right. If anything good comes up, let me know.
All right. You probably want me to mute this time.
Yeah, that's a way to go.
You could choose to go that way.
Yes, you could choose to go that way. Okay, here we go. Well, I do have to say that CES was a complete blast this year. We got to hang out with Dave Hamilton, John F. Braun, and Jeff Gamet, all of the Mac Observer. And, well, Chuck Joyner was there too. Anyway, we all stayed at the same hotel and we traveled to the special press events together, but then we pretty much scattered to do our own thing. We also got to hang out with Joe Duganzik from Smarter Home Life, like I just said, and we dragged him along, kicking and screaming, to a DTNS meetup where he met up with a bunch of fun people. We got to hang out with Tom Merritt and Sarah Lane, and I was actually on DTNS from the show floor, which was super fun. Now, you'll remember, I'm having a wing a little bit because I wrote this before. Makes sense without that. All right. Then later, NosillaCast away Joe LaGreca came out on Wednesday, and we did the actual convention center walk. Steve and I did 28 interviews, like I said, 25 of which were at press events, and only 3 of which were at the convention center halls. The press events are like 1 to 200 vendors, while the actual convention center is so darn huge, it's completely overwhelming. Plus, by the time we'd been there three days going to all the press events, we were kind of burned out when we got to the convention center. I have to say, Steve and I really enjoyed the evolution of products and the clever combination of ideas, and we don't expect the world to change overnight at CES. But all of our friends seem to be disappointed that there wasn't some huge sea change that came out of the show. I don't know, maybe some years there's a gigantic change, but it wasn't true this year at all. They seem kind of jaded. I don't know. I kept yelling at them saying, man, you guys are negative. We had fun though. If there was one big thing at CES, though, it was that Amazon Voice services are in everything. Overhead kitchen light from GE, A-Ladies in there. Light switch from iDevices, A-Ladies in there too. Aromatherapy device from iHome, you got it. It's an Echo device too. Steve and I walked to the convention center one morning and we met a woman from Amazon. Steve asked her where her booth was for, the Amazon booth was, and she kind of looked at him funny. And that's when I realized they don't even have to have a booth because they're in all of the booths. Google seemed to capture a lot of mind share, but not so much because it was in all the things. Rather, it was because of their marketing blitz. They had massive banners, like the monorail was completely covered with Google Assistant colors, and they had little men running around in white jumpsuits with the Google colored circles on them with Google Assistant written on the back. I suppose there might have been women too, but I only saw men. Anyway, I'm not saying there wasn't a Google Assistant in a lot of devices, but I didn't sense quite the market penetration that Amazon definitely had. One thing was made abundantly clear, though. HomeKit is not a thing. Nobody was talking about it. I took photos of both of the booths I saw that had HomeKit in their artwork. Yeah, I saw 2. I think it really struck home when we were talking to a woman from iDevices. I mean, these people even have I in their name. And she said, we have Amazon and Google built in. Steve said, well, what about HomeKit? And she went, oh, yeah, it's got that too. The point is that even though they had it built in, it wasn't even part of her pitch. I really wanted to push for HomeKit everywhere in my home, but I don't think it's going to happen. And that kind of makes me sad. We visited a booth of a company called Facility. It's a French company, so it sort of has an apostrophe in the middle, like facilité. Anyway, it sounded promising, but it really struck the wrong chord with me. Their intention is to help enhance web accessibility, but they're going about it in the weirdest way. Yves Cornu explained that the web developer puts the facility tool on their web server. Then the person with accessibility needs puts software on their own computers. With this software, the user configures their own profile to include their own accessibility needs in the categories of vision, motor control, and cognitive difficulties. And then they can choose from options like Parkinson's disease, cataracts, tritanopia, whatever that is, color blindness, and more. The facility tool creates a custom CSS or cascading style sheet that gets applied when visiting websites running the facility tool. That means it's only changing visually what you can see, which could include making maybe buttons bigger and changing contrast, colors, and size of the text. Here's the kicker. It's $500 per month for the web developer to have the software on their website that would enable this for the users. When I suggested that perhaps that's a wee bit steep, he gleefully said, "Banks will pay it." Well, in the much more immediately useful category, we saw the EnerGrid accessible chargers. We didn't interview them, but I was so enchanted with them, I wanted to tell you about them. Here's the problem to be solved. Close your eyes and now tell me how much battery charge is left on your portable power bank. With EnerGrid's VS15, it's probably VS150X power bank, you get 4 dots you can feel, and when you push the button, they make a noise. If you hear 3 tones, you know you've got 75% charge left. The VS150X power bank is $75, which is around double what you'd pay for a well-known company's power bank, like, say, an Anker power bank of that size. For the blind, though, that's an amazingly small markup. They pay a fortune for so many things. EnerGrid also demonstrated an accessible USB charger block, but I don't see it on their website yet. I was able to find the power bank. Here's another problem EnerGrid has solved. Have you ever plugged a micro USB cable in the wrong way the first time? I don't know about you, but for some reason, it always takes me 3 tries. And that makes no sense at all. It should only be 2 at the top, right? Sort of like 3-way light switches. They go 3 ways. Anyway, if you're visually impaired, even the USB-A end of that cable is a crapshoot to figure out which way to flip it. EnerGrid sells a separate USB-A to micro USB cable they call the R24HS. Yeah, they got really tricky names. But anyway, both the USB-A and micro USB ends can be inserted either way. There is no right side up or right side down on them. Or is it upside down on them? Anyway, that cable is only $15, which might be just worth your sanity, sighted or not. We also visited the J5 Create booth, but we didn't do an interview there either. However, I really hope to test out some of their products for future shows. They make display adapters, Type-C adapters, networking adapters, and more. But the big thing that struck me was how beautiful their industrial design was. For example, they had a couple of docks that were amazing. One looked like a flute. It had 2 rubber bands around the cylinder, and the idea is you lay your laptop down on the flute, and it props it up for heat flow and easier typing. And the connector ports are hidden facing out the back. Now, their official name is the JUD 531 Mini Station, but they said, yeah, we call it a flute too. They also had one that looked like a boomerang with the same prop it up on rubber gaskets idea, but it looked like a boomerang. And they said that one's actually called a boomerang. Both of these docks were in beautiful brushed aluminum. Like I said, the industrial design was fabulous. And that's what really caught my eye. So I got the contact info for the marketing person. We are definitely going to have some fun together. For now, you can go check out what they have over at en.j5create.com. Okay. One down.
16 to go.
Yeah. What's next? Avantry. All right. If I can copy the link.
Mark joined us.
Mark?
He decided to.
I remember a guy named Mark.
Grace us.
Okay. This is Avantry Bluetooth headset. From Tulsa. Okay.
Chapter Mark?
Yes, I just did. I'm putting the links in. This might be cool.
I'm gonna do some more sausage making tonight. All right.
Every time I get the hang of it. Oh, I should probably drop George's recording in too.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay, George.
You're up, George.
Oh, crud.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Hindenburg just disappeared.
Crash?
Well, just sort of like it was there and then it wasn't. Recent sessions. None of those are recent sessions. I'm pretty sure I hit save quite a bit here. I upgraded Hindenburg right before the show.
Maybe a bit buggy.
Yeah, I don't like that. Let's see what I've still got. Maybe. Okay, good.
Got it?
Yeah, it didn't get my chapter mark, but
if that's all you lost, that's not too bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. Did you guys notice that the chapter markers aren't right where I am talking? Like they're not spot on?
So Hindenburg puts a little, is it Hindenburg that places them in?
Mm-hmm.
So it puts a little variability, a little random number generator there for plus or minus half a minute.
I don't know. I'm not sure whether that's the problem or not. What? Uh-oh.
What?
No, it's fine. Don't worry your pretty little head about it. I can title the URL too. Oh, this is going to be nuts.
Maybe this new feature that you're adding is what's crashing it.
What do you mean?
Well, you're doing something different and it's crashing.
This is weird. Hang on. Well, I do have to say that CES was a complete blast. Oh, it's because I had two. Okay, that's good. Okay. This is going to be George. It was dragging George in that actually made it disappear.
George,
I don't know if I'm going to have time to play your audio.
Maybe just play the first 30 seconds or something.
Yeah, George, I took your advice and I'm putting in the one that I didn't clean the audio on. Let's listen to it a little bit, make sure it's working. Save. Actually. Also didn't seem to know. Yeah. n.j5create.com.
Hi.
I might take that out though. What that is. It's like you blew your nose at the beginning. I'm just kidding, George. Couldn't leave you thinking things were all in your favor. Okay, here we go. j5create.com.
Hi, George reporting in from Tulsa with another episode in my ongoing struggle with blue.
It was a little bit long of a gap. I don't like silence. Have you noticed that? .com.
Hi, George reporting in from Tulsa with another episode in my ongoing struggle with Bluetooth. Back in 2008, Steve Jobs called Blu-ray a bag of hurt.
Oh, I could keep playing. Oh, I can't do it. Yeah, I'm going to have to... This is going to be long. I'm going to have to keep going here. Let me see.
Passing through Allison's affiliate Amazon account.
Okay. Yep. And escape. Okay, here. Oh, up here. When George sent the audio file in, I heard a bit of a hum on the recording, and I instinctively dropped the recording into Audacity to do noise reduction. I mentioned it to him later, and he pointed out that that was cheating. He said the point was for you to hear the quality of the recording using the very headset that he was actually reviewing. So you heard the original version, and I have to admit, George is smarter than me. In any case, thanks so much, George, for yet another fantastic review. Right? And we're going to do a chapter mark. And it's going to be Ergo hearing aids. Oh, look, that's cool. Copy link. That might be good. Nope, that's not it. Copy. Shoot. I'm trying to find a better way to do this. Copy link. Oh yeah, baby. That's getting efficient. Save. Okay, Ergo. The only thing I think I'm going to stop and let you guys listen to is I want you guys to hear Steve.
Oh, you don't have to do that.
Okay, we won't.
All right. Understand.
How long is Ergo? Wow, that's the first one. Wait, where's Nightwise? Oh, he's later. Okay. How long is this? It doesn't, that's weird. It doesn't say. Well, we'll find out. Fantastic review. As just a smidge. Another fantastic review. As I've said many times before, sometimes it's when you see something interesting in the booth that you just got to go see it. I saw something that looked like a white sea anemone on the sign here. So I'm talking to Michel from Ergo. What do you have for us today?
So thanks, Allison. It's great to meet you. Ergo is a direct-to-consumer medical device company. We're a hearing aid company.
All right. That's enough of that. Because now you have to listen to me. And we should do another chapter marker. Is it chapter marks or chapter marker?
Well, Final Cut calls them chapter marks. I'm not sure what Hindenburg calls them.
I go back and forth. And I think they call them chapter. Well, it's called marker 6.
Okay. They must just use different terminology.
Right. This isn't that hard because everything's already linked. They're right there in the show notes. You know?
Why is that hard?
I said it's not hard.
Oh.
Because the links are already there. In the show notes, I can copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste.
Cool.
All right. Are you muting? Oh, no, I got to bring up the article. Thunderbolt, man, this is way back. I wrote this like middle of last week. Okay. This is okay. I got to show you guys how far back I'm going that I didn't even do my own stuff. I'm going to take a screenshot here. And I'm going to copy the clipboard. I'm going to...
You just changed your lighting.
That's okay.
Oh.
Okay, look at this. That's how far down my article is. Like I'm having to go back to the Wayback Machine to pull up my own stuff. So
we don't see a change.
You don't see a change? You don't see a link in IRC?
Oh, I saw. Okay. I thought you were showing something on the screen.
No. I was taking a screenshot. That's how far back what I want to talk about is. I'm like the last one on the list now. All right. It's going to be a long one, so muting. Actually, well, let's kick into a little bit of a review from me. It's not really a review. It's kind of an interesting tech story. In November of 2016, I got the Touch Bar MacBook Pro. It's got that newfangled USB-C port idea that carry. Okay, that's all bad. Not one thing said correctly.
Thank you.
All right, well, I've had a story in my back pocket I haven't gotten to tell for ages, so it's about time I tell you about it. In November of 2016, I got the Touch Bar MacBook Pro. It's got the newfangled USB-C ports that carry Thunderbolt 3. I did a post back then about how there were some unexpected challenges with that new machine with my existing hardware. Specifically, there was no adapter available to allow me to use my 27-inch Apple Cinema display with the new Mac. The problem is that my display is the very last of the DisplayPort models right before they came out with the Thunderbolt model. I can't really complain though, because I received it as a free replacement under AppleCare when my 24-inch Apple Cinema display wouldn't work with my new at the time 2013 MacBook Pro. You start to notice a pattern here? I buy one thing, then I buy the other thing. They don't work together, but I managed to cobble it together. Well, my solution that I described over a year ago was to use the Belkin Thunderbolt 2 Express dock that we had lying around. The project I'd purchased it for had never panned out. It was something Steve was going to use, but we didn't end up using it, so it was available and I was able to use it. But in order to use that Thunderbolt 2 dock from Belkin, I had to get the Apple Thunderbolt 2 to USB-C adapter that would allow me to connect the Mac to the dock. It worked great. I was able to run my Apple Cinema display and plug in USB devices to the dock as well. That meant I only had to plug two things into my Mac and unplug them to pull my Mac off my desk: the power cable and the dock cable. Now that I brought you all up to speed on the history, though, let's finally talk about the new problem to be solved. My Apple Cinema display is 4 years old and shows no sign of stopping anytime soon. And in fact, it looks as great as the day I got it. Unfortunately, Allison's eyes aren't as good as the day she got them. And in spite of my optometrist's best efforts, you'll still see me peering at my display and saying things like, "Is that an I or a 1? I can't tell." I don't know. I even use the zoom accessibility features of macOS, and I still can't tell them apart because it's really pixelated on my elderly low-resolution display. My solution was to ask Santa Steve for the LG Ultrafine 5K display for Christmas. I'd been a very good girl last year, and I was pretty sure I would get the display. Then I got to thinking, what if when I got the 5K display, I could use it and my Apple Cinema display at the same time? Yeah, I need the command center, like the ones they use to run the Apollo missions. That'd be awesome. Well, I remembered in January of 2017, we'd interviewed Jen Warren from Belkin at CES about their upcoming Thunderbolt 3 USB-C dock. And while Apple and Intel took positively forever to approve these kind of docks, they developed Thunderbolt, so I guess they get to approve these things. Anyway, those the USB-C Thunderbolt docks were finally available late last year. So I bought myself the Belkin Thunderbolt 3 Express Dock HD before Christmas to get ready for the fun. In theory, this can support two 4K displays, so I figured it should be able to drive a 5K display along with an older LCD display. But oddly, I ran into some interesting difficulties. Now, it wouldn't be a good NosillaCast story if I didn't tell you what went wrong before I tell you how I solved it, right? And of course, there's a diagram about the whole thing too. That diagram came in very useful at CES, and I'll tell you why that was when we get there. So before we walk through all of this, let's make sure we keep our terminology straight. I have to give credit here to Dave Hamilton of the Mac Geek Gab for clarifying this language for me, and it was as a listener to his show. The first thing to remember is that letters are shapes and numbers are speed. USB Type A is a shape of connector. It's the rectangular one we've been using for years. USB-B is a shape too. That's the one that plugs into devices like printers. USB-C is also a shape, and you'll hear it called USB-C and USB-C type or USB Type-C. Same thing. Anyway, the USB-C cable looks a lot like lightning, but it's actually a lightning connector, but it's actually hollow inside. So it flips upside down and right side up. It's great. Way better than those micro USB cables we used to hate. So anyway, letters are shapes. Now I said numbers are speed. So USB 3 is faster than USB 2, which is faster than USB 1. Thunderbolt 3 is faster than 2, and that's faster than 1. Now, let's put these two concepts together. We've got USB 1, USB 2, and USB 3 can all travel over a USB-A connector. With me so far? So USB-A is the shape. All those different speeds are all in the same shape connector that can all travel over that. Now, lest you think this is going to be easy, let's throw in a monkey wrench and talk about Mini DisplayPort. Mini DisplayPort is a shape. It's a small square connector with two of the corners rounded off. Mini DisplayPort can carry different kinds of signals. It can carry the DisplayPort signal, which is what drives displays, but that same shape can also carry a Thunderbolt signal. Okay? Now, by the way, all displays don't use DisplayPort. There's HDMI, but we are just not even going to talk about that. But anyway, that same shape of connector can carry DisplayPort signals, and it can carry Thunderbolt. Likewise, USB-C connectors can carry the DisplayPort signal and Thunderbolt, and also PCIe, which is a whole nother story we're not going to get into. When I was noodling this post, research assistant Stephen Getz said I was being pedantic, insisting on terminology to be exact. But the terminology is critical to explaining how these things work, because it gets really confusing if you don't understand all of that. Take a quick break and do a save, just in case it crashes again. So let's review the original arrangement, which was the Touch Bar MacBook Pro to the Belkin Thunderbolt 2 dock to the Apple Cinema display. The Touch Bar MacBook Pro has USB-C ports that as we just learned, that they can carry the DisplayPort signal I need for my Apple Cinema display. I used a USB-C to Thunderbolt 2 adapter, which with my Thunderbolt 2 cable, I was able to connect to the MIDI to DisplayPort connector on the original Belkin dock. The Apple Cinema display has what I like to call a Cerberus cable. Cerberus was a three-headed dog in Greek mythology that guarded the entrance to the underworld, so that's fun. Anyway, the Apple Cinema display has a single hardwired cable coming out of the back that splits into 3 cables. It has a now useless MagSafe connector because my Mac doesn't support that. It has a USB-A connector, so the display can be used as a USB hub, and it has a mini DisplayPort connector. I plugged the display's USB-A connector into the old Belkin dock and the mini DisplayPort connector into one of the dock's Thunderbolt 2 ports. Now, the DisplayPort signal could happily travel from my MacBook Pro to the dock to the Apple Cinema display, and it worked perfectly. The new Thunderbolt 3 dock has USB-A and USB-C ports on it. I assumed I'd be able to go from my Mac to the dock with USB-C to USB-C cable, and then I'd be able to use the adapter to connect USB-C to the USB-C to Thunderbolt 2 adapter and plug the mini DisplayPort from the monitor into that. Well, guess what? I absolutely could plug it in that way, but the monitor did not work in this configuration. And that explains the title I put on my article. It's called "Just Because You Can Plug It In Doesn't Mean It's Going to Work." After a night of fitful sleep trying to figure out a solution, I remembered something. Along with USB-A and USB-C ports on that new dock, there was also a full-size DisplayPort connector. I thought maybe the circuitry I needed to drive the Apple Cinema display was on that port. I know it's kind of obvious, right? Because it says DisplayPort right on it. Well, the Cerberus cable coming from the Apple Cinema display has a mini DisplayPort connector, not a full-size DisplayPort connector. So it's off to buy another adapter. For the grand sum of $9, I found a DisplayPort to mini DisplayPort adapter from Amazon. And then I sat impatiently by the mailbox for 24 hours till it arrived. I want to give you an editorial note. Some of you, I'm looking at you, Stephen Getz, complain about all the dongles. I look at it a completely different way. Instead of throwing away my perfectly good 27-inch Apple Cinema display, I can spend $9 and keep it working. I like dongles. Well, armed with that trusty adapter, I plugged the mini DisplayPort connector from the Apple Cinema display into the full-size DisplayPort adapter, then into the DisplayPort on the Thunderbolt 3 dock from Belkin, and then USB-C to USB-C between my Mac and the dock, and Bob's your uncle, the Apple Cinema display worked. Now, as it turns out, Santa did not give me coal for Christmas. The LG Superfine 5K display was under the tree, and I could not wait to go plug it in. I already had the Mac connected to the dock via the USB-C cable, and the 5K monitor also has USB-C ports. One of those USB-C ports has a little oval drawn around it in white. I took a guess that this was the one I should use for the input from the Mac. I looked at the tech specs online at Apple, and I saw something interesting. Apple is who sells, Apple sells the LG Superfine display, and that's where we bought it. So I just happened to look there. Anyway, it says about the ultra-fine 5K display ports, 1 Thunderbolt 3 input, 3 USB-C, parentheses, USB 3.1 Gen 1, 5 gigabits per second. Now that's interesting in 2 ways. It says input, so my assumption about the white oval outline on that one port was probably good, but it also says that port is Thunderbolt 3, while the other 3 are only USB 3.1 Gen 1. That means just that one input port can carry the DisplayPort signal. Okay, I think that's what that means. All right, now here's the interesting thing that I had trouble explaining. And at the end of the story, I did get the answer. We've proven that we can send a DisplayPort signal from my Mac through the dock's USB-C ports to the 5K display. We've also proven, using the original dock, that we can send a DisplayPort signal from my Mac through the old dock through the Apple to the Apple Cinema display using that Thunderbolt to Mini DisplayPort adapter. Why on earth can we not send DisplayPort from my Mac to the new dock through that same adapter to the Apple Cinema display? Well, I figured it was time to bring Dave Hamilton in to consult. I sent him a brief explanation along with my detailed diagram. Now, here is his highly technical analysis. He said, and I'm quoting here, it's something about Apple's DisplayPort display not liking whatever signal that thing spits out of its USB-C ports. Now, that was as good as any explanation I could come up with, and while I did enjoy Dave's technical explanation, I tracked down the Belkin folks at CES, and I talked extensively to Mark Sue at Analogics, which is a company, a guy who just like loves this kind of conversation and is super into it. I showed him my diagram, I explained the whole thing to him, and they both figured it out. They explained that the Thunderbolt 3 to Mini DisplayPort adapter simply isn't bidirectional. That explains everything I experienced, and I'm so happy to have a good explanation for it. Well, the bottom line for me now is that not only do I have the new Belkin Thunderbolt 3 dock driving both displays, it also supplies 170 watts of power, which is more than enough to charge my MacBook Pro along with all the display signal. So in one simple cable from my Mac to the dock, I've got two 27-inch displays. I've got my microphone interface, my headphones, my backup drive, a USB 3 hub to my USB devices, and charging my Mac. My desk is simple and clean, except, of course, looking like Mission Control.
Whew.
All right.
One minor correction. It's Marv with a V, Sue at Analogic.
Well,
you want me to fix that?
Yep. I'm not going to re-record it.
No, I wouldn't do that. But
he's never going to listen to this.
The typing.
Okay. I think I saw Belkin. It says from Belkin. Track down the Belkin folks at CES from Belkin. Can you fix that too?
You just want to make sure we knew it was Belkin.
Are you mocking me, Steve?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're almost a quarter of the way through at 33:50. Did I miss anything fun?
Not too much.
John says there are different adapters that use Apple's Mini DisplayPort. The older Apple displays supported only Mini DisplayPort, and the new ones accept Thunderbolt 2. They require different adapters. No, actually, I'm using the Thunderbolt 2 adapter, John. I was on my old Mac. Okay, so next is OLEDCom. Don't want to do that. OLED. Is it capital LED COMM?
Yeah,
OLEDCom?
The com is not capitalized. I thought it was at first, but I looked at
it. I didn't capitalize the OLED part in the title of that blog post.
I would.
I know. You should have. I didn't. I'm telling you it's not capitalized. Okay. Do you want to go fix that?
I'm already fixing something else.
Oh my God, you can't do two things at once because you're a boy. Oh, wait, no. That was me.
Hey.
Kevin's not listening. It's okay. So OLED. Okay. It is done. Okay, OLED. Why are there 5 in here?
5 what?
5.
Oh, I had one of them scheduled for tomorrow.
You're killing me.
I'm just trying to get ahead of the game.
I'm mad at that L'Oreal thing. They do not have an app I can use to do what I want to do. Mission Control. I'm in the OLEDCom booth with Benjamin Azoulay, and he's talking about something that sounds like witchcraft here. It's Li-Fi, L-I-F-I, like Wi-Fi only with light. Tell us about what you've got going on here, Benjamin.
This is a technology that was created by a professor in France, who is called Suat Topsou, who started to make the LED blinks so fast that it can communicate. And this technology is very interesting because it is an extremely fast communication, almost at light speed.
You need the speed of light?
Exactly.
Okay.
It is radio wave free, so no potential harm for the body, and at the same time, highly secure connectivity.
Okay, but I would expect there'd be a lot of loss using light. I mean, how do you create a collimated beam of light in Li-Fi?
So it is working with a visible light, but it's also working with invisible light. And we did our market research.
Wait a minute. I didn't make the mistake you did.
What mistake?
Your title, and all through your article, it says OLED, it's lowercase LED. It's a capital O, lowercase LED.
I thought you were talking about something else. No, that's the way they're not following it as an acronym. They're not putting an acronym in their company name.
Are you positive?
Not that I could find.
So when you look at their website, not that I would doubt you, Stephen P.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's go look. That didn't work. This website may be impersonating OLEDcom.com. I think that S, they're not HTTPS, and your link is HTTPS, so nobody will be able to hit that link in your article.
Let me try.
Let's see. Let's find the About Us. We are. Well, great. It's either all lowercase or all uppercase. They do it both ways. But I don't see it anywhere. Well, I put it all capital letters. I think it looks dumb without it. But if you want to leave it that way, that's fine, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was OLEDcom. What's after OLEDcom? Nightwise. Okay. So we're just going to jump right into Nightwise. Wait. Move OLEDcom into the aired folder and now go find Nightwise. Not George again. You got to find Nightwise this time. And Nightwise, I cleaned his audio. Wait a minute. That looks like noise at the beginning.
Thank you very much.
Dearly beloved NosillaCast.
Oh, I didn't clean it. I need to crop that. Hang on. Maybe I should do what you do. And I should. Yeah. I'll do what you do.
And what is that?
I'll do that waveform thing that you do.
What are you talking about?
Where when there's noise in the room, you roll it in.
A fade?
Yeah, that's what it's
fade
called.
in, fade out. Sure.
What is
all right. Took the S off OLEDcom.
Did you? Good. Okay, and then that's weird. Well, that's not right. What did I do? I better change that. Back up. Okay. Now I don't know what I should do. Sorry. That'll work. Yeah. Here are the sounds.
Much.
Dearly beloved NosillaCastaways, welcome.
Wait, there's no chapter marker. Come on.
Kevin reminded you 5 minutes ago.
He did. That's a long title. And line App Store. This is a really cool article. You'll hear me explain how cool it is. Hold your horses. All right.
Yeah. Mark's got a good question.
What's that?
Why? Why do you want to work in the command line?
Oh, man, this is cool. How would you like to be able to install all of the apps from one Mac to another using the command line and not have to go search for the things on your Mac to put onto the new Mac? How would you like that?
So this is if you have a whole lot of applications and you're having a hard time searching through.
Or you want to run the updates. You can just type, you can literally pop open a terminal and say mass update. Boom.
From the Mac App Store without having to click around. So hope you enjoy this little tool called Mass.
Probably overprocess that a little bit.
Yeah, that was a little weird sounding.
Yeah, you know, it almost sounds like he's...
You know, list them up.
Oh, this is weird. Maybe I should put the... Yeah. It's, you know, oh, I know what happened. That's right. Yeah, I may have to undo this because I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to put it in again. He was driving and then he stopped driving. So it was, well, actually, let's hear how much of it is different. It gets different right about here.
Right? Yeah, mass, space, install. And then all of those
that
numbers,
still sounds
you
good,
just,
right?
you know, list them up one after the other.
No.
8 characters from the application.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put the old one in. Fine, if that's what Steve wants. Fine. I might have the problem is the audio changed. What am I supposed to do? All right. You guys can listen to the hum.
Well, you could do noise suppression partway through and then stop the noise suppression.
All right. Let's see. Let me cut it like about halfway through those two. Why did my light just blink, Steve?
Which light?
The light in my room.
There are several.
No, this is only, well, I guess I do have a lot of lights. Oh, yeah, I think it's time to charge my lights up there, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah. Now that we're using them as on full blast, I think they're going to burn out faster.
Yep.
Oh, the dog's snoring. Can you guys hear that?
Oh, no. No, I can't. She's facing away. You're good.
Yeah.
I see her.
Can you guys really not hear that?
No, but I do see an ear twitch once in a while.
Okay. Now I got to figure out how to do this fade again. I had that fade all done. It was really nice. All right. We'll do it about like that. Ooh, I wonder if that'll work. That's going to sound weird. All right. Here we go.
Dearly beloved.
Thank you very much.
Dearly beloved NosillaCast.
You know, none of this is going to matter, all this nice fade we do. Won't it just get fixed by the leveling software at the end?
No.
It doesn't?
No, you still hear fade ins and fade outs.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oops. Sorry. Took a drink of beer.
This little tool called Mass.
Okay.
That was a fast fade.
That wasn't a fade at all. That was he got quiet. And that's why it sounded weird. Okay. Here we go. Shh. Save.
Chapter mark.
No, it's not time for chapter mark yet. Nice try.
All right.
I simply love this. I love everything Nightwise does anyway, but this is such a great, useful tip. You may have noticed that Nightwise records in the car off the top of his head. That means there's never any written content to which you can refer from his reviews. I was so inspired by what he talked about that I wrote it up myself with full instructions, including screenshots and download links, and even an explanation of where to start. Heck, I even explained that mass is spelled M-A-S, not M-A-S-S, so you'll be able to find it. Thank you so much for this, Nightwise, and I've been using it ever since. I've done a bunch of playing around with it. It's awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Now you can ask for a chapter marker.
Chapter marker.
Thank you, dear. So this is going to be cool. All right.
Is this what I think it is next?
No, don't get too excited.
No. This is the one with the
toothbrush.
The dentist.
Dentist.
Name that movie.
It is. I know what it is. It is Rudolph.
Rudolph, you got it.
Okay.
And who says that?
The dentist. Actually.
And his name is?
Oh, shut up.
I can't remember, so I was hoping you could. Ralphie? No. Rudy?
Rudolph, really?
Rudy and Rudolph.
Yes, honey.
Alfie?
That's who it is. I don't know. So why is it called Colibri when it's Magic AR toothbrush for kids?
Again, it's the company name versus the product. Colibri is the company. Magic is the product.
Okay, so let's see how this fade. Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, you forgot to do a fade on Colibri. Listen, it ever since I've done a bunch of playing around with it. It's awesome. Love it, love it, love it. So I haven't been a big believer in V. Don't you think you forgot the fade there, dear?
Might have forgotten the fade there.
Yeah, it's a little hard.
I just want to make sure you appreciate my fade, so I threw one in.
I do appreciate your fades. Don't not fade.
Do not fade. I will try not to fade, dear.
It's also long too. I'm not good at fades. It's gonna sound like crap, but okay, we'll try it. How's this sound? With it, it's awesome. Love it, love it, love it. So I haven't been a big believer in VR. Is that okay?
Yeah, that works.
All right, that was an AR toothbrush for kids. So now, do I have to tell them when I'm doing a Patreon ad?
Yeah.
Oh, that means there's no fade at the other end either.
Yep.
How many more am I going to have to do?
I think that's the only one.
This tool is annoying to do fades. You think it's the only one you screwed up?
Pretty sure. And that wasn't a screw up. That was intentional.
Oh, it was. Really?
Just to, again, remind you of how much you appreciate fades.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you.
Nope, it's not faded down enough. So
faded all the way down.
Well, it's not easy.
Sure is easy in Final Cut.
Yeah, I know. Why don't you do it in Final Cut that? By the way, we're at 51 minutes and we have 2 more big things. I don't think it's going to go 2 hours. Oh, it might, though. I don't like that last piece. I don't like doing this. You like doing this, Steve. You should do it. Ah, phooey.
I can redo the audio pretty quick.
Just really, this tool, I can't go to 0. It's as low as I can go. All right.
Fine. Go as low as you can go. Just limbo it.
I'm not going to do a chapter marker for Patreon. Here we go. All right. Shh. Well, I'm so grateful to all of you who help support the Podfeet podcast via Patreon. By sending $1 or $2 per NosillaCast episode, you help pay the hosting fees, our ability to travel to places like CES and get all these awesome interviews, go to NAB and CSUN for more interviews, and it helps pay for the cost of the gear and software I use to review on the shows. $1 or $2 doesn't sound like it would make much of a dent in the cost, but since so many people do it, it really does make a difference. An interesting thing about Patreon is how transparent they are with the data. If you go to podfeet.com/Patreon, you can see that there are 61 patrons, and in theory, I should receive around $74 per episode. Your mileage may vary. At 52 episodes per year of the NosillaCast, that adds up to just under $4,000. Doesn't cover the entire cost of doing the show just yet, but it's getting there. Anyway, my point is that a small dollar donation can add up to a lot of money when a lot of people jump on board. Just this week, Richard Appia and Ron Ryman both started supporting the Podfeet podcast by using Patreon. I hope you'll consider doing it as well, but only if you have some spare change available at the end of the month. Head on over to podfeet.com/Patreon and show your support for the podcast. All right, now it's time for Steve. I really hate that fade. Really sounds terrible. If I can't make it go to 0, I think I got to do something different. Escape that. Because it flattens and then it's terrible. Oh, maybe that's better. There we go.
There you go.
Well, I'm so grateful to all of you. Okay. All right, almost time for Steve.
Thank you.
Well, I'm so grateful. Okay. Save. Save. 3 times. Okay. Now it's time for Steve's debut. NASA. Okay. And the full article title is there. And copy the URL. And do that and hit save. Stephen P. It's a little confusing to see stuff in that folder that I don't need to do yet, but hopefully I won't screw that up, Steve.
All right.
I hope there's a fade or there's going to be a lot of whining.
I'm used to it.
Hey. All right, here we go. It's the only part we're going to list. Oh, man, it's 5:56. Kevin, I'll play it as fast as I can. Kevin has 4 minutes.
Chapter mark?
Yes, chapter mark's done. Here we go, Kevin. .com/Patreon and show your support for the podcast.
Okay, I'm here in the NASA booth with Jared Daum, and he is, believe it or not, the expert on the parachute deployment system for the Orion capsule. So I was hoping I could get a little discussion with you, Jared, on how this whole system's working and how it's going.
Absolutely.
How you doing today?
I'm excellent, thank you. So I guess I can tell you a little bit about Orion, first of all, a little bit about SLS, which is our new rocket, and then most importantly, for me at least, the parachute system.
All right.
So we've got Orion here. Orion's our next generation spacecraft. It's going to take 4 astronauts to Mars. We might make some quick stops at the moon first just to test out our systems, build a deep space gateway around the moon, and then eventually send our astronauts to Mars in the 2030s. So Orion looks a lot like Apollo, but it's much bigger. We got 4 astronauts on board, as I mentioned. It sits atop SLS right here. So you can see there's a little guy, little Orion.
This guy?
That's this guy, yep. And that is a small section view of our larger rocket here. So this is what SLS will look like on the pad. SLS is one of the most powerful rocket built to date, and it'll launch for the first time with Orion next year in December 2019.
Just to give me a feel for the size, can you tell me how powerful that is relative to Saturn V?
Sure. So it's more powerful than Saturn V. About the same size in terms of the height. So we've got new technologies, better materials, so we can build a more efficient, powerful rocket than we could.
Excellent. Okay.
So parachute system, let me tell you about that. So our astronauts are going to go to the moon. They're going to go to Mars. We got to bring them back. And that's where these parachutes come into play. So Orion's got 11 parachutes on board. They're all packed up here in the forward bay. 3 of them are used to lift off the cover, and they look a lot like this one. So this is the smallest parachute we have on board. This is about 60 square feet. So our parachutes range from this size up to our largest. We have 3 main parachutes, and those are each 11,000 square feet. So cover 5 or 6 houses. You know, they're pretty big. So these smaller parachutes lift up those larger parachutes so that we can have a nice safe landing about 20 miles per hour. So our crew is nice and safe in the water when they come home.
Splash down at 20. How does that compare to, say, Apollo's
It's very
speed?
similar, very similar. So Orion is much bigger. It weighs a lot more. So the parachutes are thus much bigger. So we need a larger drag area to produce the force we need to counteract the additional weight of the vehicle.
And can you tell me about how far through testing of the parachute system you are?
Excellent question. So we've gone through about 17 development tests where we test the parachutes. We go out to Yuma, Arizona, toss out a small-scale capsule of Orion out of the back of a C-17 and run through the entire parachute sequence. Gather lots of video data, lots of telemetry based on the speed, the altitude, the attitude of the vehicle to learn about what we need to change. We changed the parachutes through each one of those tests to make them better, and now we're in the qualification phase. So after those 17 tests, we now have a series of 8 tests in which we are not changing anything, but we're proving that these parachutes work in all the various conditions that we need. So for instance, SLS, we got this launch abort system here on top. So if there's an issue, whether it's on the pad, like we see behind us, or anywhere on the ascent of the vehicle, and we need to get the crew off safely, this ascent abort system will pull the crew off. These parachutes need to work in a wide range of conditions, whether it's from the pad at 0 speed, 0 altitude, all the way up to nominal re-entry coming back from Mars. So we need to test this at various corners of the box, as we call it, of our requirements to make sure that the entire parachute system works anytime we would need it.
Just to give us a feel for how fast this system is traveling down as the first parachute deploys. Do you know what that speed is, roughly?
Yeah, it's about 350 miles an hour. So coming back from Mars, we're at about 20,000 miles an hour. But the drag from the heat shield here, the blunt body, and the friction with the atmosphere slows us down from that 20,000 miles per hour down to about 350. And at about 350 miles per hour is when we start deploying our parachutes.
Got it. Okay, fantastic. And have the tests been rather successful thus far?
Yes, very successful.
It must be if you're now at the final configuration and doing qual testing.
Absolutely. You know, as an engineer, you can always look to make things better, but that can be...
You also have to freeze at some point,
Absolutely.
right?
So we've frozen at a point that we like. We know that it works well, and now we're just proving that so that we can certify it for human use.
Okay. Can you give me a feel for when we might see launches of the SLS system itself?
Absolutely. So the first launch of SLS is called EM1, and that's going to be in December of 2019. So just next year, about 2 years away. That's going to send Orion, an unmanned Orion, around the moon. We're going to do some science to gather data on both the performance of the rocket, the performance of Orion, performance of the parachutes, and all the other systems, so that we can get ready for our first crewed mission in about 2022, in the early 2020s, again with SLS and Orion.
And that first crewed mission will be an orbital flight, maybe go around the moon at some point?
Yes, absolutely. It's in the vicinity of the moon, cislunar space, to gather information about how Orion performs with humans on board, to test out our guidance, navigation, and control systems, and to ultimately prepare for our journey to Mars with humans in the 2030s.
Fantastic. Well, Jared, I appreciate your time. I'm really pushing for this system. I want to see the U.S. back in deep space, and with your help, I'm sure we'll get there.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That's very cool. Good job, Steve.
Thank you. I was just commenting that I'm impressed. Their first flight, and I'm not sure. I asked this question, and I think he said yes. And I asked it maybe twice. They're going to fly to the moon on their first flight and back. And it seems to me you'd want to get it up in maybe Earth orbit first, but that's it's designed to go to the moon and beyond. So I guess they're going to take that first big step.
Wow.
I mean, Apollo took...
One of the questions I asked him was, how hard is it to be in a job where your budget's going to change every administration, right? I mean, every single time you start with a new administration, it's like, yes, the NASA budget's going to be higher. No, now it's going to be lower. Now it's going to go to the moon. Nope, go to Mars. So he said it does make it problematic. He said it was funny. He said, it's easy to make a rocket to go to Mars. Well, I don't think that's true, but it's easier. And he says, and it's easy to make a rocket that can go, easy to make a rocket to go to the moon. It's easy to make a rocket that goes to Mars, but it's really hard to make a rocket that you don't know which one you're going to go to, maybe both. So that makes it a little bit tricky.
Yeah. Many people say, though, going to the moon is a logical step. Not everyone believes that. There's a lot of overlap between the two missions, and as long as you design in the things that will take you beyond, including all of the thrust and
well, but that's the thing.
Payload capability.
Think about having to design for both.
Well, it's a stage design, right? They have many blocks which are more and more powerful, which hopefully will. I mean, the first stage would never make it to Mars. The first block one, but the later blocks will, and I think the funding for those later blocks still has to come into play.
Sure. He said it was hard. Do you think
I'm sure it is. I'm not saying
you go help old Jared there.
Well, I would love to. I don't have much experience with parachutes. If they had sensors, though, that would be cool.
You'd know about that, right? All right. So we're about to kick into a chapter marker. Chapter mark. Okay. That goes here. And we go copy here.
Well, this is a good security bits.
As opposed to all the other ones?
Yeah, all the others are just
crap, huh? Crap. Okay.
Family friendly.
Actually, this is going to be interesting because
this is out of band, right?
It's out of band, and I screwed up the recording. So this is Bart's recording, and it's in two pieces because we had to pause in between because our mattress got delivered. So let's see how that works.
Do you hear the mattress in the background when we jump on it?
Yeah. All right. Let's hear how this sounds.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it's not normally that time of the week again, but it is time for Security Bits with Bart Busschots. We're going to have an out-of-band episode here just to kind of get up to date on what's been happening with Spectre and Meltdown. How are you doing today, Bart?
I am doing fine. I had this idea when I was, doing my usual go.
My audio is way too hot.
It is a bit hot.
Yep. Can't do anything about it. It will be brought down, I presume.
Leveler will help, hopefully.
Yeah, actually, Auphonic. What is that big gap there? The heck? Doesn't look right.
You literally may as well not have bothered.
I think I cleaned the connection up. But it's not going to hurt you any.
It's not going to hurt you any, but your performance is as it shall remain until you upgrade to a modern OS. Okay, so that's sort of the end of my bullet points.
All right. Bart really likes it when my audio screws up because, it's an hour and 47. Is that the longest chit chat or the longest NosillaCast?
I would place heavy odds on that one.
Yeah. All right, here we go. We've lost Kevin. He's off to watch the show with his daughter. That's good. All right, here we go.
And stay secure.
Well, you have actually made it to the end of this mammoth episode of the NosillaCast. We did not break the 2-hour mark, but at it's an hour and 48 minutes right now. That's a long one. We will continue to have long shows though for quite some time until we are able to play all of these episodes for you of the all of the interviews, I should say, from NAB. So stay tuned. You will not have a lack of entertainment for the next couple of months. But for this time, it is going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions. You probably don't need to do any reviews for a little while, but you can always email me at allison@podfeet.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at podfeet. Remember, anything you're looking for, start with, did I say NAB?
I didn't hear it, but if George says it, you probably
George
did.
Is smarter than me. 2-hour mark, but at it's an hour. Continue to have long shows though for quite some time until we are able to play all of these episodes for you of the all of the interviews, I should say, from NAB. Yeah.
Good catch, George.
Thank you, George.
That's not for another couple more months. 3 months.
No, that's like February, isn't it?
Oh, I thought it was April.
I don't know. Oh, maybe it's April. It is April. Okay, here we go. We'll try it again.
And stay secure.
Well, you have successfully made it to the end of a mammoth episode. I'm not sure it broke a record, but we're looking at about an hour and 48 minutes right now. Did not break the 2-hour mark, so at least that's good. But we will continue to have long shows with the interviews from CES for quite some time. So don't worry about having a lack of entertainment for quite a while now. But that's going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions. You probably don't need to do any reviews for a little while, but hey, if you're inspired, go ahead and send them in and we'll play them. You can do that by emailing me at allison@podfeet.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at podfeet. If you're catching the rhythm here, everything good starts with podfeet.com. You want to become a patron of the arts here? Go to podfeet.com/Patreon. If you want to join in the fun of our Facebook group or a Google Plus community, you can go to podfeet.com/Facebook or podfeet.com/Google Plus. And if you want to make sure you use the Amazon affiliate links, just start at podfeet.com/Amazon. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.
Record show done. Or
yeah. Hey, when
recorded.
did Rose show up?
She showed up rather late.
Rose?
It's been kind of a long celebratory weekend for her and kind of lost track of time, I think.
Oh, it's still, you know the rules? You know the rules.
Yeah, she's bringing the shardy.
She's bringing the shardy next week. That's all I'm saying. Come on. We can't, I know you're one of the, founding mothers of the NosillaCastaways. In fact, I believe you named them the NosillaCastaways, but I don't believe that lets you off of the hook for this. Am I right, Steve? We have guidelines. We have standards we have to uphold.
Yes, we do. Well, guidelines.
It's more of a guideline. Okay, let me hear how this sounds. Want to join in the fun of our Facebook group or Google Plus community? You can go to podfeet.com/Facebook or podfeet.com/Google Plus. And fantastic Nosilla Castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.
You did that jump, right?
What jump?
There was a jump in the audio. It may have been the...
Yes.
Okay.
Hour 49. Somebody
Not
needs to go check and see if those are the longest one. That's the longest
I
show.
don't think that's an easy search.
Hey, Mark, just because you were last you were second to last doesn't mean it's anybody who's tardy has to bring drinks. So, okay, Rose will bring the Shardy and Mark will bring the root beer for Brett. How about that?
Hey. Rose says it'll be a week before she can even look at a bottle of Shardy.
Whoa, Rose, that's saying something. Okay, girlfriend? Man, I have never heard Rose say that. Oh, we always say that, though, and the next day it's looking good, right? All right. We have chapter markers. We have a save file I've saved obsessively, and I'm going to export, and I think it's probably time we let the audience go. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, they stayed after school, but they were well behaved.
They were very well behaved.
Yeah.
Even Mark.
I didn't have to kick or ban anyone.
You didn't ban anybody?
It's been a long time since I had to do that.
I know. We need to get some better miscreants in here.
Don't wish for that.
All right. Thank you very much for coming. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for sticking with me. We did pretty good. Done by 6:11 for an hour and 50-minute show. All right. Yep. Bye, everybody. Say goodbye, Rose. Say bye, Steve.
Bye, Gracie.
I have to say goodbye because he'll end up being the one in the keyframe if I don't hurry up and hang up. Okay, bye.